thank you to whoever DM me, right? But Bret Weinstein, yeah, I'm calling you out. Somebody that they really promote on this app, right? I'm always seeing him, like, not even the town halls on the stage, but in the audience. And he's always, like, having such a huge influence on this app, right? And his nigga's mad racist. Like, his
Adding Mark,
views are
Brett,
anti.
look at you, Brett. adding Mark.
Wait, who is it? Who is it?
Mark
Bret Weinstein under Felicity, under Exotic. So Exotic and then Felicity and then right there's
Actually,
Bret.
bring him up. Actually, bring him up.
32,000 followers, but you're
Come
not
on,
going to go
Bret.
back and talk about this.
Bring him
You're not
up.
going to talk
Hey,
about how we
Brooklyn.
had to, you know what I'm saying? None of that. What's up?
Brooklyn, to put this in a little bit more of a perspective, I think Brett, Eric, and I'll let him speak for himself, but they are kind of a part of all the classical liberal groups, or I don't know what to call it, but they're kind of a part of that, the intellectual, I guess, dark web. So they're not just popular on this app, they're popular amongst people that are kind of the, anti-woke or anti they've been I'll let Brett answer.
These white people are messaging me. They're talking about some can a white person step up to the congregation.
Yeah, I'll let Brett explain himself.
Don't call it a congregation. Don't say that. That's racist.
Right.
And that was intentional. So good. Block him. Move more.
Was that you, Marcy, who was saying something about who I am?
Yeah, I was trying to give some context to these rooms, and I don't. I was in here earlier, and apparently some things were said that were insensitive. I was trying to catch up, but I was, trying to explain that you have a podcast and you're popular off this app for your POV on wokeism and stuff like that. That's all I was trying to frame it.
Appreciate it.
Also a VC, am I mistaken, or are you also an investor on this app as well?
No.
Yeah.
I'm not an investor.
They promote you like you are.
I don't know that there's any promotion. I've been here a little while. I did get an invite fairly early on, but I don't think there's been any promotion here.
Okay, can we speak to the fact if you are anti-wokeness and the progression of black people? Do you believe in white supremacy? Do you believe in white privilege? Are those sentiments that you stand by? People here are saying that you have spewed racism across this app. So can you speak to that?
Transphobia. Yesterday he was defending the binary.
Wait, why was Dio down in the audience? What happened?
Yeah, what happened?
I think they left.
Oh, they probably moved themselves. Go ahead.
Can I ask something of you before I answer your questions?
Did you answer those questions? Do you support white supremacy? Are you anti-racist?
And transphobia.
Okay. I'm happy to do all these things, but I would ask you to try to listen.
Listen, white man. We're in charge here, okay? We asked you some questions. You can answer them or you can go.
Don't ask.
So Brett, here's the
one at a
problem.
time.
Here's the problem, Brett. It's the same thing if I was to ask the president of the United States, well, the previous president. When I asked him,
Gerald, we're not even gonna do that. He knows exactly what we asked him. Brett, are you anti-racist? Are you transphobic? Are you anti-black? Like, give us the answers right now and quickly, or you're gonna get off the stage.
Sure, 100%. But let me correct something Marcy said first.
100% what? Are you 100% anti-black or are you 100% anti-racist? What's going on?
Okay, I am 100%.
I don't even like the way that he had made Marcy explain what was happening, or he tried.
No, I just wanted to know. Look, come on.
Can y'all please stop trying to let this man wiggle out of the answering the questions? Go, Brett.
Okay, first of all, I'm not a classical liberal. I'm an actual liberal. Okay, far left, have been my whole life. I am thoroughly anti-racist by any normal definition, but I don't like Kendi's definition of anti-racist. That doesn't make sense to me. I'm not by any stretch of the imagination a white supremacist. As a matter of fact, I'm not even sure whether I qualify as white. I'm Jewish. It's a different thing. My people have been persecuted by Europeans.
You are, Brett. You're just spicy white, but continue.
Okay, fine. I'll take that. I don't think it's a simple issue. And to be honest, was there a third question on the? Oh, am I
transphobic? Are you transphobic?
I am not the least bit transphobic. As a matter of fact, I was a professor.
Please stop right there. Protecting trans rights has nothing to do with negating the sexual binary, and it does not require any new pronouns. Those claims are instead about wielding power over others. Because it is asks and the replies, they, them is not helpful. That is again about power. He, him, and she, her are all that is necessary. So I'm confused. Why are you up here saying you're not transphobic?
Very simple reason, which is that in every interaction I've had with trans people, and it has been many interactions, simply figuring out which pronouns are preferred, whether it's he, him, or she, her, has been absolutely sufficient, right? We don't need to make up.
You've not met every trans person. You haven't met every single trans person.
No, you're right.
Brett,
Hunter, go ahead,
we were
Hunter.
on the panel together last night. Do you remember me?
Yeah.
Oh,
Brett?
I did,
yeah.
of course.
So you're saying that having to use they, them pronouns is not within your capacity because you feel like he, him, she, her pronouns are sufficient enough to cover everybody's gender identity and how they want to be identified via pronouns?
Well, let me just say, I'm an evolutionary biologist. I'm very interested in how language actually changes. Say again?
A eugenicist. That's what you mean as evolutionary.
No.
Those are the same thing.
No, it's not the same
thing.
thing.
They are the same.
It's not the same thing. In fact, one of my
argue that here. You're not about to try to wiggle out of that.
I'm not trying to wiggle out of anything.
For eugenicist. Yes,
I'm not trying to wiggle out of anything. Look, racism and genocide are products of evolution. I don't favor them. I recognize that they emerge out of evolution, and part of what I want to do is help people to understand why that is and what we can do about it. Okay?
Okay, so I want you to be able to explain that, but I just want to be clear. Last night when you were naming things that I clearly identified as transphobic, and that other folks did too, you pushed back to say that biology was something that was important, right? But now this sentiment around pronouns actually reaffirms the narrative that there is a particular investment in how you want to move culturally transphobically, where you actually literally want to actually remove people's agency and what feels affirming to them in their gender identity, but just even in their own affirmation at all. So Bret, you agree you're transphobic?
No, I don't agree that I'm
You're a
transphobic.
scientist and you used anecdotal experience to justify your view on pronouns. You're a scientist. Just because someone has only ever eaten hot dogs doesn't mean that hamburgers don't exist. And if hamburgers can see your statements, then why are you making them?
And we also cannot remove science as a part of transphobia. Evolutionary biology is a means to spread scientific transphobia. Those two things are linked. Science as an institution was built in transphobia and anti-Blackness. So you saying that you are an evolutionary biologist does little to claim eugenesis was also a field in science. So your claims do not push the fact that you are not transphobic. That's still a transphobic position to take.
It's not transphobic. I'm interested in seeing trans people
Can you
protected.
say that something is not transphobic when people are literally telling you that it's transphobic? The privilege. It's the privilege.
So I don't understand how you think this works. Okay, we can have a disagreement. We can have a disagreement about whether or not I'm transphobic.
We can't have a disagreement.
So Bret,
Bret, you're gonna have to go to the audience and you need to cash up everybody up here $1,000 for you coming back up. Next.
You know he got it. Shit.
No disagreement.
You started the conversation off saying you weren't a white supremacist, and you completely started talking points and anecdotes. You don't really look at that as being a white supremacist.
He's used to talking himself out of shit. Oh my god, I thought it was on mute.
He's
if you stand up white supremacy, you are a white supremacist, and that's what we just let you speak, and that's exactly what you just spewed, white supremacy.
I also think that so within my studies and within my experiences, right, I do want white people to reject whiteness because I want them to be anti-white. However, within this within the context that he brought it up and being like, oh, I don't even consider myself white, I consider myself Jewish, that's how I know that he's full of shit. Because when you truly reject whiteness, you really know that you are a white person, and you know the ways in which your whiteness is violent and the ways in which your whiteness has been commodified in this country. And so therefore, if you truly want to reject whiteness, you embrace that entirety of your whiteness, and you use that argument as the premise to reject your whiteness because of the studies and the fucking whatever, all the shit that you've learned in your life to reject your whiteness, not because you want to identify with one particular part of your whiteness and then reject the rest of it. That's not how that fucking works, white people.
Yeah, sorry,
I think they're
I,
Black and Arab Jews.
yeah, sorry. JW Lucas, I don't know why you're raising your hand. I was wondering why you look so familiar. JW Lucas was on, he went on an Instagram rampage basically talking about Breonna Taylor, and talking about her husband. It was something about that. I don't actually remember. He was arguing with Tamika Mallory and basically I think was trying to like more or less blame Breonna Taylor for her death. So I don't know why you're even in this room, because you're about to get removed from the room, honestly, because you're a whole ass white supremacist. Like, please, whoever,
no, you don't deserve the labor.
Whoever's next, please go ahead.
Really quick, for those of us that didn't really know what Bret Weinstein was responsible for, I just attached an article from the Evergreen scandal of the school he and his wife used to teach at. It's in my bio. We come with the facts over here, baby. I know you're still in the audience, Bret. Go ahead and read about yourself. I know your narcissistic ass probably wants to. Next on the stack, we have got Jackie. Is Jackie still here? Okay, Jackie don't want to talk.
Oh yeah, I just added her back because she went to the audience and came back. So I don't know if maybe something's going on with her phone or.
Well, we can come back. It's okay. So I'm gonna put an asterisk next to Jackie's name. Bernard.
Hey y'all, I just need to take a breath before I get into it. Brooklyn, first of all, thank you so much for commandeering and then subsequently creating this space. I appreciate it. I came in here because the title looked ridiculous to me. Because first of all, wokeism, like, you know that they meant a negative connotation when they put ism on the end of it. It could have been wokeness, could have been woke culture even, which I don't even agree with, could have been woke stuff, but no, ism, like racism, like sexism, really. And then obsessed, another negatively connotated word, right? Obsession, oh, if you're obsessed with this, oh, you can't stop thinking about this. I just thought it was just, oh God, sorry, I have to take a breath. Ridiculous. And just to clarify, thank you again, Brooklyn, and those of y'all who spoke up. But when I said, I wanted to let Black Americans go first, it's because this conversation is obviously rooted in American, in the American racial environment. And while I do identify as a Black Bahamian, I just feel that, it's a bit different. And I just wanted to let other voices speak. But thank you guys for welcoming me. I appreciate it. What I think is happening here, Clubhouse is not obsessed with, well, I don't even want to say it, that word. It's obsessed with fake and self-serving allyship. And this was not allyship. What was happening in this room, which I didn't even hear, but just hearing from what y'all had said, was being said, it's not allyship. And I just know that there are people down in the audience who are writing down everything that they think is offensive that some of us in here have said. They're writing everything that they think they can use to say that all these crazy people took over the room, and tomorrow the room is going to be, let's talk about that crazy shit that happened yesterday, and not let's talk about the pain
really
and
quick
the relief
really quick Bernard.
Sorry, yes,
I'm sorry, but I was saying earlier how we need to all be expanding our vocabularies to make sure we're not being ableist. I know please. Myself, especially come from Brooklyn, crazy, wild, stupid, like that stuff is in our vocab, but we really need to unlearn it because it is ableist. But I just want to recorrect you.
Thank you for that. I appreciate that. I won't say it again. You're so right. Yes, and I unfortunately I think that's the language they'll probably use. But I think that what I was saying is, like, tomorrow or later, there's going to be a room that's going to talk about all the stuff that happened in here, and it's not going to talk about the pain that they saw or the relief that they saw when Black people finally had a room where they were able to speak and be in control of the conversation and not interrupted. Because I think what tends to happen, and I've seen this a number of times, I'm in a lot of rooms, and I've just very recently there was a room that was talking about allyship, and there was someone who came in to talk about ball culture in New York City and about how it was co-opted, and it's being co-opted now to the point where there are people who have never struggled with the LGBTQI issues, especially BIPOC LGBTQI issues in New York City and all over America, and there are people who are making money off of the form of voguing, of ball culture, who have never been associated with the culture, while people who are associated with the culture and have been in ball culture for 20 years are still, living paycheck to paycheck, right? And then the room was silent. This is a room that had been consistently just praising each other and talking about how they were all here doing the work, and they were all here, being good allies and having great conversation that was respectful, and then it went silent. And then one person spoke up and said, oh, well, in my Vogue place in Russia or something, we what was it? We watched a video on the ball culture, and when we made sure to learn about it before we kept dancing. And then everyone congratulated that and moved on. And that person who talked about ball culture left. because they didn't feel heard. And my challenge to everybody down in the audience is not to come away from this saying, oh my gosh, that room got taken over and it got completely changed. Maybe come away from this and think, wow, listen to all that pain I heard. Like, why is there no acknowledgement of the pain? Why is there no acknowledgement of the fact that a number of people in here expressed how relieved they were to finally be in a space like this? Why is there no acknowledgement of that? Why are all these rooms moderated by mostly white people? And then this happens in the real world too. People have a panel on allyship or on anti-racism, and they invite one person. Sometimes they ask them to come for one black person to come and talk to the panel. Usually they ask them to come for free, which is ridiculous. And anyway, I think I've lost my train of speaking, but anyway, that's all.
We definitely heard what you were saying. Appreciate it, Bernard.
Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah, sorry.
I feel like you summed up the action that happened just now pretty well.
Yeah. Oh, that's what I was going to talk about. That guy who came in. What's his name? I don't even want to say. The moderator who's tweeting now, right? Like
Michael.
Yeah. His first response when he came back, when he came back up here, was to say that, oh well, there was a coup. A fucking coup. We're on the internet. This is an app, okay? I know it's an important place and a lot of great conversations happen here, but like, you're fine. No one lost any money tonight. No one lost any clout tonight. No one lost any privileges tonight. Like, we have to remember, this is an app where a bunch of people are chatting. Like, this is not the streets. This is not a boardroom. This is not a UN conference room. Like, a coup is such strong language to simply talk about the people who are being implicitly named in the title, taking over the conversation in order to center it around the people that other people here are claiming to be allies for. If you claim to be an ally for people, your first job should be to listen to those people, listen to their experiences, acknowledge their experiences, find out how you can make their experience better, and then maybe, not even defend yourself. Defending yourself should be the last thing on your mind, but it's always the first. And with that, I yield my time.
Thank you, Bernard. Okay, black person. Sorry, y'all, false alarm. Dominic?
Hello, guys. Good evening. Yeah, I got into this room, a bit late, but I just found it a bit hilarious, how the whole thing evolved. But I'm going to say this, based on the topic. Is Clubhouse obsessed with wokeism? And I'm going to say, in my opinion, there are two kinds of wokeism. There's a performative type, that I feel like is mostly put forward by white liberals. And I'm going to give you an example using a tweet. There's this tweet I saw, by a white person. I value animal life over white humans, but people of color and animals are the same level of valuable. And I just find this a white savior complex, to be a bit ridiculous. And my view is, I'm a Nigerian American, and I cannot really speak for foundational Black Americans, but I know that foundational Black Americans have been through a lot, from the founding of this country, through slavery and Jim Crow. My father moved to the United States, during Jim Crow, and he told me a lot of what he experienced. He worked as a stone crusher at one point, before he went on to go to Harvard. And, he told me all about his experiences. And I feel, a lot of the stuff that's happened in the past, continues to affect Black people today. And, I tell white people, my white friends, I'm going to be very honest about it. I always say, what happened in the past is not really your fault, but what happens today is, what is happening today is what you should really deal with. What happens today is your fault. You should speak up, when you see injustice, and not just, brush it aside. And the truth, is that a lot of Black people are suffering from stuff that's happened in the past. You just like, I don't know who was talking about GI Bill or something. The way that a lot of Black people's fortunes were taken away, or the way they weren't allowed to reach their fullest potential. For example, my own father, he got to a point, where he couldn't be promoted further because of the color of his skin. And I feel like these are very relevant subjects that we should be discussing. And also, I'm going to just throw in a bit about cancel culture. I often talk about cancel. I have discussed with some people about cancel culture, and my opinion, is that human beings are redeemable. Everybody's redeemable, but first, there needs to be accountability. The fact is, you just can't say or do whatever, hurt people and inflict psychological trauma, and then just expect to go just like that. There needs to be accountability before redemption comes. And lastly, I'm just going to say, I believe that every human being can say what they want, be what they want, and do what they want, as long as in doing so, they do not harmfully infringe upon the rights of others to do the same. And the reason why I said this, is because of, gay people, bi people, trans people. I feel like these people have the rights to live their lives absent discrimination, absent harassment, because they're not really harming anybody, and this is, I know I didn't really phrase myself correctly or just say things as well as I wish I could, but that's the end. Thank you very much for, hearing me out.
All right, cool. Thanks, Dominic. Who's next on the stack?
Next on the stack is Rochelle. Really quick, I don't know why the link in my bio don't want to work, but it's not working. Somebody's DM'd it to me, but I still can't post that, so I don't know.
Did you put it in the link space or just the description space?
The bio. Oh, I'm slow as
Yeah,
shit.
put it in the links part, and then it'll be clickable.
Duh.
There's a links part?
I know, it says website.
Yeah, it's like URL. It says URL. You have to put it in
It
there.
literally says website.
Trust me, that happens to me all the time.
So yeah, now it's in there. Now you can go in there and see, y'all. Okay, but yeah, next on the stack is Rochelle. Oh, did she leave? I really wanted to hear her.
No, I'm here.
Okay, so
again, thank you, Brooklyn. So happy I made you a moderator.
Oh, you did that? Damn, you should have let us believe it was the white people, girl.
Yeah, sorry. No, I had been sitting in these rooms and my friend was texting me and he was like, say something. And I was like, no, I have tried like 5 times. The only people who are allowed to interrupt are white people. And then they get to speak for 5 minutes and then they go back to stack. And then we've already heard from you. Can we hear from somebody else? Because they are very aware when they hear from Black people. They're not aware when they've heard from 5 white people. And then after a Black person speaks, like you said, it's like, oh, here, come, play devil's advocate, be anti-Black. And it just is like, but you can't even call it out after you hear it, is how this room was run. And I wanted to ask, as someone who's new on this app and who wants to run rooms, but like someone talked about, if you don't have the range, don't do it. Like, what are some of the ways to hold spaces? I love the way that this one's being held right now, in complete contrast to how it was before. It wasn't even just the topic. It was clearly just the way that the space was moderated. The 2 people who were moderating had 2 different understandings of how to moderate the room. And they clashed in hours in to say, how do you want the room moderated? Well, I want to do it this way, and I want to do it this way. And, white supremacy prevailed, like whose voices got to be heard. And I just am thinking about, like, there was a point where, some white person tried to resonate, and like at some point I was like that this is not the time, like, but I'm wondering, like, what are some of the practices of communication that we could bring into moderating, like resonating, like stack, like what's the stack where you make sure that Black voices are heard? I don't know what it's called, but there's like...
Stacking itself is making sure Black voices are heard, right? It was created and used first in Black organizing spaces because we always be having something to say, something to add, and it can get lost in the convo. So stack, add me in there.
Yeah.
Also, I think that with stacking the conversation in a room, you avoid a lot of ableism as well, because when you are moderating a room and you have individuals that are neurodistinct in that room, and they may want to speak, and they may potentially want to speak for a while because they're just getting the thoughts out, and also within the communication styles of neurodistinct people. It comes within a scaffolding sort of mechanism instead of just saying something and getting, quote unquote, to the point immediately. I think that the idea of popcorning is not a productive way to have a conversation, because you have a lot of people that are cutting people off, and then you're not taking into account the different minds and the different brains that are within the space. And when you cut someone off, it prohibits them from being able to get their point across and remember what their point was, because now they have to then remember it within the context of a whole bunch of people cutting them off. And I think that, just the idea of having a popcorn conversation within a Clubhouse room is never going to be the best option. Also, when you are moderating a room, I think that, for instance, this one, talking about is Clubhouse obsessed with wokeism, or just the idea of woke, when you know that that comes from Black voices and Black experiences, you as a white person should not moderate that room. I believe that people who want to moderate rooms and talk about things should talk about their own experiences. And if they don't want to talk about their own experiences and they want to open up a space for other people to talk about it, then they need to be very intentional with having those other voices amplified within those spaces, so that it does not become something like it is today, where we now have to go through this whole gambit of things. And then you have white people in this room that may be anti-woke, whatever police, that are now going to use this as a way to further accelerate their fake ass fucking ideologies about quote unquote wokeism or cancel culture, when it's like, no, all you're doing is making the voices of the entire conversation that you're having more prevalent. And I feel like those are the ways to become a better moderator, is when you have an actual structure to your room to make sure that everyone is heard, and to make sure that the people that the conversation is about are heard. Also, to make sure, and this is what people be talking about diversity, equity, inclusion. No, it's not. It's not. And I think that by making sure that there is a stack, by allowing people to sometimes come in and, popcorn, but also making sure that there is a structure to the room so that people feel comfortable enough to talk about their experiences and also to get their voices heard.
Can I say something to that, Dio?
Yes.
Dio, I'm sorry.
You can reply, but before you reply, can I get a stack if we want to continue it? I'd add myself, and then after, and then is anyone else?
Yeah, I'd like to go at some point.
And that was Marcy, right?
Yes.
Jerry.
Anyone else? Jerry-O? Anyone else?
I'd like to be added, Nicolette.
Nicolette? Anyone else?
Can I jump on?
Name, please.
Brooklyn.
Sasha.
I just wanted to let you know, I just brought to my attention by someone who I think meant well, that a friend of his has been recording the conversation, and for apparently to speak.
That's
to
fine.
Is that okay? All right. I just wanted to make sure everyone in the room who's speaking.
Yeah, I'm actually talking to that person.
Cool.
Awesome. Yeah, no, I don't care about no damn recording shit.
Thanks, guys. Sorry about that.
Yeah, so
I said what I said.
I was just going to say to Dio, I'm actually very good friends with George. We talk every day. And I think he was doing the best he can. And he was asking me if he did a great job.
Not George specifically. Because George was doing a good job of making sure that there was a stack. It was Alan that came in and asked George and told George that he was not comfortable with the idea of there being a stack. And he wanted to be able to do a popcorn, because he wanted to basically rebut and be able to jump in and basically invalidate the comments, or just have an opinion and be able to talk and for there to not be a stack. So I was not talking about George. I think that George did a pretty good job, and I was actually not happy to see him leave, because I knew that the room would then disintegrate into a field of nonsense.
Yeah, and that's why he before he left, he made the other guy the moderator that started with the N. I forgot the name, but
yeah, exactly.
I don't know exactly what happened after that, because then George immediately called me. But as soon as I came back, I saw that there was a coup state.
So basically, look. Oh, I'm sorry for cutting you off. I'm the one that's talking about.
No, please, you can cut
look.
off.
So basically, what happened was, all right. So, George left the room. Michael was then the main moderator of the room, and then he made.
I'm sorry. So there's still somebody with a green bean out there?
Oh no, not at the moment. But I'm saying that in that moment, there was someone else that was made a moderator, and this was a Black person. I don't want to misgender them. However, it was a Black person that was made a moderator. However, that individual, I think that that individual was also given the list, the queue of people that were supposed to talk. But you know, in order to be a moderator, you have to, you know, be like, hello, no, we're going off of a list. And that person was not doing that. So they kind of just allowed Michael to be the default main moderator and just allow everybody to popcorn and just basically argue and shit.
And
in the middle of the discussion, you know, Michael and George were like, I want a popcorn and I want the stack. And then they tried to combine those two, which meant white men could interrupt, but Black people had to wait for their turn on stack.
Yeah. So, and I think really what ended up happening is George did not plainly state in front of Michael his intention and like having someone replace him. So Michael didn't, you know, follow that protocol. And I was actually texting George the entire time that I don't understand why Michael's up here, because while he might have started this room, he's not contributing much. And him being in the top left corner is just mirroring society in the way that Black people do all the work of the actual moderation of the room, and he gets to just sit there and do nothing, so and make executive decisions. So I'm happy that the coup was thrown. I just wanted to say that
we're not using coup, right?
I'm using cool. I am readapting the word coup in this situation. There was a coup that occurred, and I am reimagining this word in this instance. Yes,
I'm here for it.
If we're gonna use the word coup, since I'm the person who, you know, effectively took over the room. If we're gonna use coup, I just hope that we incorporate it with the slogan of the Haitian Revolution, "Coup peut-être boulekai," because that's exactly what the fuck happened.
It was a Haitian revolution.
I literally
it was a Haitian revolution that occurred. Yes.
I literally said that to George. It's so funny you said that, because I was just like, George was like laughing. Well, he wasn't laughing. He was just like taking it serious. And he was just like, I don't understand. Like, I thought the balance would be kept. And I was just like, George, this was the Haitian Revolution. And then we started arguing about whether or not it was comparable. But so crazy you said that. All right, I'm going to stop taking space. Thanks, guys.
Okay, back to the stack, right? So I was first, but Jerio, Nicolette, and Sasha, y'all can go first. And then Marcy, and then I'll go.
Brooklyn, word to the people. Coup peut-être boulekai. I love the Haitians. I feel like I came on here really to drag Brent for trying to come on this stage and say the foolishness that is the foolishness he tried to display in this space. I'm just very upset. This man said I'm an evolutionary biologist, so there's no way possible. I just have to explain. And the way this white man tried to come up here with his $2 words to explain racism to me, as though science has been using $2 words to rationalize their racism for centuries. That was why science was made. I'm confused to why word to Afro-pessimism, this shit must burn. There's no way that any institution that exists in this world will continue to be existing. Like, what do you mean? And you trying to explain to me why your race? Of course, your science can explain to you why racism works out the way it was. It was created for that purpose. Your God was created for that purpose. Everything about this world was created off anti-Blackness. So how you gonna come into this space and tell me that you got your degree and you're gonna explain to me why what you said? You just need to explain why genocide happens. Nigga, are you dumb? Saidiya Hartman. Oh, excuse my ableism. I am trying. Anywho, the New York comes out of
it has to be unlearned. It has to be unlearned. It's a process.
It must be unlearned. The way that Brent speaks about the why we must explain why genocides happen, as though Saidiya Hartman, the beautiful Saidiya Hartman, hasn't told us that white people they come up with their lowercase t's and they make their lowercase truths into capital truths or facts. All the facts in the world right now is what a white person's interpretation of reality. Their interpretation of reality is based in.
Wait.
What just happened?
Maybe she got a phone call.
No, but I'm seeing multiple people get removed.
Yeah, the app is really glitching. Because I ain't kicking nobody.
We in trouble now.
Me neither. Isaiah, it's about time you put that picture up because you weren't coming up here.
No, but I think he was like cooning in the first one, like earlier.
Oh, because he had no picture, then now it's a black man. Google picture much?
Jerry, were you finished? I don't know what happened.
I was not finished. What was the last thing I heard?
Everything we know is from a white person's point of view. They've created all this shit. All of it comes from the winners of history.
So I'm like, they're sitting there describing these realities. I'm confused to why they want us to believe, like, well, that was as much as the point I wanted to say. I am also neuroatypical, so I lost point of, like, that whole thing fucked up my shit. I forgot what I was saying, but that the fact that he wanted to come in his chest and say that as though that was supposed to be a reason why we should believe him, as though intelligence isn't a construction that white people said was a thing that they needed to load so that we could divide. Like, this is intelligence as a construction is rooted in ableism. You are just telling me that you could learn this shit. No, nigga, you had skills. Somebody taught you to do this. Like, that's not, you're not actually smart. Intelligence is, we must leave this shit behind. That construction makes no sense. And you about to come and tell me that it does make sense based on your evolutionary biology or whatever other eugenic metric you want to come and bring. We know it's anti-blackness. You could get off the stage. We don't want to hear nothing else you have to say. I'm done speaking.
Thank you, Jerry. Next, and I spelled your name wrong. I'm gonna correct it, even though it's a stack. Next we have Nicolette.
Hey y'all, my name is Nicolette. I use she, they pronouns. I just got into the space, but I just wanted to offer, like, I'm very tired of, like, white folks, especially white men, like, starting these rooms with these very, like, inflammatory ass titles, like, shit like, is Clubhouse obsessed with wokeism? There was one room that I was in and the title was like, is cultural appropriation an actual problem? And I said, why is this a fucking question? Like, why are y'all even posing this question to begin with? And it's like, they always try to play like the victim when you get on the stage and you call them out and you're like, this is anti-black as fuck, like, and the room, like, and open, and do some, learning, do some unlearning, I should say, of the shit that you are literally perpetuating in this space. And I just wanted to say, like, I think oftentimes, like, white folks are very intellectually dishonest in these conversations. They love to pretend like they don't know what they're doing. And people like to infantilize white people and give them a pass. But, like, that's not what we doing here. Like, and I think, like, so many times, like, I just think back to that room that I was in where it was this white man named Ned, and he started a room called Is Cultural Appropriation an Actual Problem? And I literally, like, had factual analysis, had, like, systemic analysis, and he responded, well, I don't think anyone on the stage is here making bad faith arguments. And it's like, it's not about bad faith or good faith. Like, you are literally perpetuating, like, anti-blackness in this space. Like, you're perpetuating anti-blackness through the things that you are sharing in this space, right? And it's like, you benefit from anti-blackness. So it's like, it's not about good faith or bad faith. I'm tired of white men expecting everyone to debate like a white man. There is no fucking both sides. Get rid of liberalism. Like, there is no fucking both sides. Like, you're violent as hell. Please stop. And that's all I had to offer.
Nicolette made him end the room.
After Nicolette, we got Sasha, then Marcy, and then myself. Anyone else want to get added to the stack?
I want to get added to the stack, Isaiah.
Isaiah, you better be a black man. Next. Anyone?
You can add me again. Dio.
Dio.
Am I up?
Yeah.
Oh. Just wanted to say, Madame Toussaint, sac passé.
I was about to say, why you took my last name? What's good, brethren?
Real quick, I kind of wanted to bring about a word of caution about explaining if racism exists. Over the past year, I've had a bunch of people asking me about my experiences with racism and if racism actually exists. And what I've realized after a while is that they don't actually care about my opinion or my experiences. They're either listening so that they can go and tell their friends that they've talked to a Black person and they can confirm that it does or does not, whatever. Or they're trying to tell me that my experiences are invalid and I'm misinterpreting a situation as racism. So in general, I've stopped answering the question and started asking, why do you think it doesn't exist? Because it's either all Black people are making it up or what, right? That's all I got.
Thank you. Just wanted to make sure you were done. Let's go Isaiah, Marcy, Dio.
So I've a while, and it's just kind of so there was a question that was posed.
Let's start first, Isaiah. You were in here cooning. Why was that, sir?
No, there was no cooning going on. What happened was I was telling
was he cooning? Because that's what y'all said.
I definitely heard you like you're going back and forth with like
this is you with the picture up now.
Yeah, I before. Can you just go, you can go ahead.
One of the points that I made was they're getting so upset about the language that people are using, but they don't want to actually address any of the underlying issues that people are talking about. And then when you bring up, and then they say, oh, why can't we have a discussion about the underlying issues that people are talking about? And then when you actually do the good faith effort of providing evidence of the good faith issues that people are talking about, it's silence. Because there's no conversation that they want to have about those things. So when you say things like, oh, schools are resegregated after Brown v. Board. Oh, the Republican Party is over here actually trying to steal Black people's voting rights today. Nobody wants to have that conversation. But they have some sort of problem with, I don't know, people getting canceled or something, but they don't want to actually deal with the underlying issues that are objectively there. And what was that dude talking about evolutionary biology, genocides having
Bret
benefits? So I'm an immunologist by training. A lot of that evolutionary biology is a lot of just so stories with no actual evidence, because things are good because they exist. That means that they necessarily have some benefit biologically for them existing. But I don't see any evidence that genocide, which is a social thing that humans do, as necessarily being one way or another biologically.
Thank you. Are you finished, Edo?
Yep, all done.
Okay, cool. So next we have Marcy.
Hey, thanks for getting my name right. Hi, Brooklyn. I was in this room way earlier this morning, and I don't know. I know what to say, but I knew this clash was going to happen. I knew the two groups would eventually clash because I've been in some of these discussions. I don't know what to offer here. I can't really offer y'all anything because I think that everybody here has spoken up for themselves. I think I'm curious to know how do you guys feel about people with our politics engaging in conversations like this? Is it possible? Is it something that we can do? Because I don't know what Isaiah was saying earlier that made you guys kind of say he was cooning a little bit, but sometimes I get up and speak in these rooms, but I just wanted to know, like, what are we measuring? What's the measuring? Where's the line at? I'm just curious. And I don't mean that, I'm just asking because I totally agree with everything that's been said. I just want to make sure going forward that I don't know. I guess I'm just trying to get into alignment, I guess. So I'm a little confused. If y'all could explain.
I would also like to know what I said that made anybody think I was cooning.
That's troublesome to me, because if I debate people, I don't want to be. I don't think I'm a coon or a
there was somebody without a picture who was basically going back and forth, like sort of picking up for what some of the like white supremacist folks were saying. And I do remember that Isaiah didn't have a photo, so I thought like they were that person, and that's why we're hesitant to let you up on the stage. So yeah, I definitely do remember when you brought up like Georgia and like the voting rights across the country. So no, you were not cooning, but there was somebody else who did not have a picture that was in the conversation, sort of kind of being in the middle.
They were bringing up like Black conservatives who are professional coons, as if like that's supposed to be some sort of like you're the one out of 100 who has this view, and that's supposed to make you somehow your view mainstream. I don't know what the point of that is. My John McWhorter was one that was brought up. Oh, well, have you read him? Like, come on, like I'm Black, like yeah, but he ain't saying shit.
Black Republicans or like 3 Black conservatives, and it was like very much, just
they ain't saying shit. They talk. Black Republicans are for white people. That's to talk to white people. Other Black people don't listen to them. Like I don't know what to tell you. Like they got no clout with actual Black people.
It's just obvious to me now that a lot of the conversations that we have had on this app, especially in that club to the left, that people aren't really coming to those rooms and really listening to some of the things that are being talked about. And I think that there is this narrative, and I'm talking to the people in the audience, that all we talk about is race, but we also talk about things that are adjacent to that, and equity and capitalism, and the conversations are really rich. And I think the part where I take offense is that there's this idea that again, like wokeism is this cult, and I would just, the only thing I can offer is people in the audience is to maybe sit and listen to what everyone has to say. Otherwise, things like this will continue to happen. I mean, I'm not surprised that this happened because, again, like, somehow it seems like in the middle of some of these conversations that some form of tokenism does seem to happen, where there's this one Black person who has this belief system that validates us. And I think that Hunter said in another talk that, there are just some bridges that aren't going to be built. And I agree with that. But I think that I think the stages need to be a little bit more diverse, and I think that the stages need to be a little bit smaller. Not in this case, but I'm just saying if these talks are going to happen. And I don't think that it's necessarily fair to turn what happened today into some kind of like, on their end, it's some like they were bullying us. If, I wasn't here when the things were said, but it sounds like to me like, some horrific things were said. So, yeah, that's all I really have to offer. I'm just trying to get my thoughts together right now. This is like the second day in a row. Like, it seems like the left, like there's a generational clash. There's a interpersonal clash between Black progressives and Black conservatives, where they say those people on this app. So it feels like there's a fight on all fronts. So yeah, that's all I have to say. I just wanted to clarify that, like, I was, I don't know. Sorry, that's all I have to offer.
Thank you, Marcy. I don't think there's really a clash. The others just don't want to understand that Black people come first. Next on the list, it's actually me. Hey. Okay, so going over what has happened today, I feel like first, right, I want to take note how there were white people who were quiet when there were Black people. I think it was exactly, I don't know how to say their name, but it was like y'all know who I'm talking about, right?
DeGero.
Thank you. DeGero. He was trying to talk, and they were like, Andy was continuously talking right through him, right over him. And that's when I finally like raised my hand. I was like, no. And I was gonna get up here, right? And it's like these white people were silent, but when the room hijack took place and the white people were kicked off the stage or being kicked off the stage, now it's voice trembling. This is unproductive, and I'm leaving. And white people always feel like if they're leaving, that means the worth or the value in a place is going down. Bitch, we were waiting for you to hit the door. Like, I don't know what your problem is. Like, yes, this is Clubhouse. yes, this is an app 100%, but you don't think that you're about to be playing in my face over something that I literally go through every single day, something that my people get killed over, and you gaslight me, making me feel like this is not serious, right? Then you taking it a step further and going on Twitter and going on a mocking parade, trying to act like we, actually harmed people when we were the ones being harmed. Leave out the fact that you are letting white people interrupt black people, but then you're only going to talk about how we hijacked the room, how we quote unquote stole something. I can't steal shit from you when you're the one being violent and I decide to stop your violence. That's not me being aggressive. That's not me being a bully, a tyrant. That's nothing. What that is me reacting to the violence that was inflicted upon me. Even when I got up here, they tried to say something along the lines of, you're interrupting people. And it's like, no, I was trying to make sure the Gerald was finished speaking. And if y'all couldn't even hear me, how am I interrupting people? Like, let's make it make sense, right? And it was just like the whole way they were talking to me, and I had like kind of just walked in at the moment. I was here earlier, but I left. But it was like, okay, just say your point. Like, hurry up, nigga. Just talk and go. Like, I did not like the vibe at all. I commend y'all for staying through the conversation and like, going back and forth with them, because we need to let them know there's always going to be resistance to anti-blackness, to racism, whether it's on an app or in real life. Like, you might get punched in your face dealing with this shit and these rhetorics out in the real world. And I feel like hijacking a room is, that's like, kind of an equivalent, whatever. But it doesn't even really come close to what could happen. And I think that's something that y'all are not necessarily mindful of. A lot of non-black people, y'all get in positions, or y'all have certain status where you feel like you're really above certain things. And let me tell you, you are never above me. I don't care if your government still considers me 3/5 of a person. I'm 7/5 a person, baby. I'm unmatched, okay? Unnatural, all of that. So please do not ever try that. Do not ever disrespect black people when the title of your name is created by black people. And the whole woke thing, like, I don't even understand. Like, are we not supposed to like fight for our liberation? Now you're mad that we're banding together, or we're trying to have conversations to free ourselves from your bullshit constructs that have continuously oppressed us. Now we tripping? Now it's a cult? Okay. There's no stock currently. Does anyone want to get added?
I just want to say real quick, like, I don't like how Marcy said, like, oh, it's a clash between the left and black conservatives and whatnot. I feel like that's kind of gaslighting the whole situation. Like, black people constantly have to argue about the humanity. Like, you don't see white people doing that. And it's like, Brooklyn, I commend you, because, like, I really love the energy. I love it so much. But yeah, that's it.
Thank you.
I think it's just kind of crazy how we just get off like the most racist, outwardly racist, obviously racist president in like the past 40 years, and now we just pretended like we can't see racism. We just had it for 4 years, like, and it was very obvious. Like, when he's talking about send them back, what is that? When he's talking about a Hispanic judge can't judge him because Hispanics can't do their job fairly, what is that? Like, how are we being gaslit that we're just like in this post-racial society when if only white people voted, Trump would be back in office right now.
And TBH,
I want to read. Oh, actually, you can wait. Actually, I'm sorry. It was Gio. I thought it was Isaiah. Go ahead, Gio.
No problem. Yeah, actually, it wasn't just 4 years ago. Like, anti-blackness been like in the White House since like a good time, especially 2008 to 2016. Yeah. So I just wanted to like clarify that real quick. And also, like, there's no clash. Like, it's literally just folks who will continue to invest in their privilege, invest in anti-blackness and capitalism and white supremacy, and they understand that, and that's why they come on these stages to gaslight black folks and to basically derail conversations and to sort of just push conversations and push spaces into a very like negative rhetoric. So I just wanted to state that very clearly. Like, these people know what they're doing, and we have to also understand that this is what they're doing, and we can't give them the benefit of the doubt. Like, even creating rooms tomorrow, they're going to do that anyway. Like, they were literally going to do that anyway. So I think the next person on the stack was.
There's not a stack. It's finished. But I was going to read a message.
Next, I'm sorry.
Oh, say again?
Dio.
Oh, yeah, you did get added. My bad. I forgot because I put myself at the bottom.
No, it's okay.
I'm going to... Okay, you can go, or should I read this message on Instagram? Whichever you prefer.
Read the message and then I'll go.
Okay. So the message goes, I just want to add the amount of diversity and inclusion and BLM talks I get pulled into where I'm the only brown person. This panel is exactly what a conversation on diversity should look like. And I hope I see more of this, literally clapping every time. I just want to let everyone on stage know how brilliant I think you all are. It's amazing how obvious that is when you finally get the chance to speak in a safe space. Also, if you want to see a prime example of gaslighting, look at the reviews for the book, Why I'm No Longer Talking to White People About Race. Period.
Yes. So what the point that I wanted to make, I know that I've been jumping in a lot, but I'm just really happy to be in this space with you all. And I feel like I'm just kikiing with y'all. So that's why I keep jumping in and being like, yes, whatever. But basically the point that I wanted to make is that the word woke is a part of African American vernacular. It is a word that we have used within our communities as a verb. No, I'm woke. What is that? An adjective, right? but it's a word that we've used within our communities. And then we have used the word to talk about other people in a negative connotation. However, the main reason that I was so irritated with being in the room prior is that now the word is being used by white people in this other way. And even though I, just like someone else said, the word woke or those sorts of things are not things that I apply to my life and to my vernacular. However, I understand it within the context of conversations and also within the context of me having conversations with Black people. The reason that y'all white people are so confused is because this is not a word that's a part of your vernacular. So I do believe that this room is inherently violent because you're taking a word that's not even a part of your dialect, that's not even a part of your dialect, and choosing to dissect this word and associating it with a movement or quote unquote with a cult or a cult ideology when you have no clue what the fuck the premise is. And, within the conversation that was had before, I was, and, a few other Black people in the room, we're talking about race and we're talking about white supremacy and we're talking about those things as it relates to woke, quote unquote, culture. And then you had a whole bunch of white people or a whole bunch of other people coming in saying that, oh, you're kind of just pushing down the conversation to just talk about race when it's like you don't even understand what the word fucking woke is. Woke niggas been talking about the fuck that white people are full of shit. Woke niggas been talking about the fact that there's white supremacy. That's what the whole thing is about. It's about how white supremacy has affected all of us, including white people. You all are raising psychopaths. I'm sorry to say this, but you are, because you're raising children that are ingrained in the society and you are not talking to them about the ways that white supremacy affects them, white people. White supremacy affects you as well. The patriarchy affects men. All of these things are intertwined. It is not just the people that are quote unquote victims that are coming up and talking about this. These ideologies and the ways in which this country is built suppresses everybody. It does. But we are the ones that are out here talking about it. And we're the ones that are out here trying to tell people that this is fucked up. And then we get labeled as being the woke police when it's like, I'm not fucking woke, because in my brain, right, within the few past years, because I'm a Black person, I know the ways in which woke, quote unquote, is used. So then for y'all to come in and be like, oh, is woke being too much? Y'all don't even know shit about being woke. So shut the fuck up. Y'all niggas still sleep. Y'all are all still asleep. These conversations have been had in this community for decades, and y'all are just coming into it and thinking that it's too much. It's not too much. Y'all are sensitive as fuck because y'all don't want to hear the ways in which the society has fucked you up and fucked us up as well. It's just I am literally just very well. This is why I don't really keep a lot of white people close to me, honestly. It's because I don't want to have to educate people that I'm around. I would have much rather educate Black people about other shit, honestly. Like I genuinely would. But like I said before, I do like getting into these conversations with white folk because I like to flex my intellectual skills and talking to them in certain ways. But it's like very, very, very irritating to have to consistently defend your humanity and consistently defend the experiences that you are going through. And also within a room that is titled woke, which y'all just learned about this word this year. This is like, I was raised, my name is Dio. I am not a continental African woman, okay? My parents were, I was born in the 90s. My parents were very Afrocentric, woke-ass people that wanted to name me a name that was connected within my Nigerian heritage through slavery. So my parents been woke. Okay, I knew about woke since 1994, since the year that I was born. Okay, I celebrated Kwanzaa. Literally, my parents celebrated Kwanzaa from before I was born. And I have always been connected within my Blackness. I do not see myself as a victim. However, I am not afraid to call out other shit when I know it's not okay. And I feel like people change the word woke and they conflate it with being the same thing as like being a snowflake. And that is so fucking ingenuous and so fucking inappropriate. Because when there are Black people that are in this room or that are talking to you, and we're the only ones that get labeled as being quote unquote woke police, included with some other random white people that want to defend us or want to defend when they know that something is racist or sexist. I feel like it's ingenuous to even have a conversation about it because you know what your stance is and you are not having this conversation to learn. You're having a conversation to big up your own shit. You're having a conversation to basically tell everybody else that they're wrong. You're having a conversation to talk about how white people are poor. Bitch, I don't give a fuck that white people are poor. Black millionaires are an anomaly. White millionaires are not an anomaly. So even if you combine classism or if you combine social economic status with race, you will always see that Black people, Black queer people, Black trans people are always going to be at the end of that. And I am just very, very irritated with consistently having to teach people or talk to them about it, especially when they act like, quote unquote, they want to learn. But then when you tell them something, it's automatically a defense. And it's like the conversations don't fucking go past that then. Because now it's just a wall that we've reached and y'all don't want to move through it, but you acting like you do.
Yeah, I just haven't been talking a lot, y'all. Sorry, because honestly, all the non-Blacks in the audience are making me uncomfortable. Like, I don't know about you, Gio, in Brooklyn, but I ain't getting no Cash App notification yet. But it's like,
Oh, honey, I
Yeah,
can
I
most
was.
certainly regenerate this money because I just tallied it up and they sent me, let me see, $208. So I'm gonna
oh
send
yeah, you
some
don't gotta
your
send me
way.
that. You can send that to some dark skinned trans folks. But I was just saying, I'm like, it's
Yes,
mad non-Blacks in this audience, and I just feel like it's just like a spectacle at this point. Like, what the fuck are y'all looking at? Like, I feel like they just staring at me.
It sounds like I
exactly.
need to send more to the Cash App. I will be splitting it up. Dark skinned people, Instagram me your Cash Apps. Thank you.
Period. Like, Josh, I'm glad you said that because I was literally just Dio. You brought up, this is education. Like, this is education. Like, for the non-Black folks in the audience, like, you're loving this, you're getting this education. It is not free. This is labor. Folks have been on the stage for hours, putting in like literal labor, and they need nourishment, and they need protection, and they need safety, right, to ensure that they can continue to do this work, and actually not even continue to do this work, but continue to exist, right, in a world that does not want them to exist. So please stop the Cash App. I think Brooklyn has the Cash App in her bio, so you can do that, and maybe we can continue the conversation. We're doing
And my
popcorn.
Venmo is the same as my Cash App. Thank you.
Period.
I wanted to say something, if that's all right, guys.
Actually, Bernard, right before you go, M and then Bernard.
Thank you.
So I just wanted to bring up one thing, specifically to Bret, who's the
biologist. I'm sure you know that biology is just as ideological as it is empirical. So I think it's really dishonest for you to come on here and try to use it to legitimize your isms and your phobias. Thank you.
Period.
So we have Bernard next. Thanks for that, M.
Yeah, thank you, Em. Yeah, thank you, everybody. Yeah, I just wanted to say, after I spoke earlier, I got a couple DMs from people who were apparently in the audience listening, and a white friend of mine hit me up to point out what he said was a hypocrisy, because he knows, because he's friends with me, that I disagree with some of the things that have been said up on stage. And he said, why didn't you criticize or speak out against that? But you spoke out against white people in the audience. And I just want to say, stop trying to make us fight each other, please. That is not what I was here to do. Like, we are not a monolith. I may not agree with a lot of the stuff that Dio says, but that doesn't mean that I'm gonna sit here. You must be crazy if you think that I'm gonna sit up here and
We could
fight
use
with
different
other
words.
people.
You must be outrageous.
Sorry. Oh, I'm so sorry. Oh, you corrected me already on that. Thank you. You must be outrageous. You must not be thinking clearly if you think that I'm going to sit up here and have a argument or fight within my people before. Anyway, yes, this is what I'm trying to say. Sorry.
Take your time.
It's disheartening. It's just disheartening to think that Black people are expected to get all their ducks in a row, to all line up in a straight line and be on the same page message-wise before we speak, when I'm telling you from my experience on Clubhouse, this is my personal experience, not anyone else's, other people get up there and say whatever the hell they want, and no one gets told, why didn't you speak out against this other person of your race? We're the only ones who get told that. It's really exhausting, and just please stop doing it. That's all I want to ask those of you in the audience who may be thinking about that. And if you have something that you'd like to discuss with one of us, just like DM us and hope that, well, not me personally, but DM anybody in here and hope that they have the intellectual energy and intellectual like fortitude to just like talk to you about it, or like the time, you know. But that just wasn't what this room is about. And I don't know if anyone else has been getting messages like that, but it was just kind of annoying. Thank you. Sorry.
Thank you for that, because I definitely was seeing on Twitter how they were kind of like talking about how, you know, the room was taken over but not mentioning what they were doing. And that is important, right? Like, they'll definitely look to us, especially when you're in a space where you're the only Black person, or as other people be saying nowadays, BIPOC in the room. And you'll notice that they'll like really pitch you against the other, to be honest. And we all know everybody's capable of being anti-Black, even Black people. So it can become a really finicky situation if people are not careful and not making sure that they're being exploited on many different fronts, right? And I also think that on Clubhouse, that's especially noticeable, because people will say, oh, well, I thought we were going to have a productive conversation. Oh, well, I thought this was a conversation for learning. And it's like, no, you're not being allowed to harm me how you like to. So now you want the people who are moderating this conversation to make it seem like the conversation needs to be, you know, refined in a different way where my experiences won't get as much airtime. Fuck you. You know what you're doing. I love that we called them out this time. Continue to call them out every time. These motherfuckers need to be as uncomfortable as I am walking these streets every day. It's just that simple.
Yeah, someone told me, how could you be up on stage with people like that? And I was like, are you serious? I was in a room yesterday listening. No, I know. No, I was in a room yesterday listening to this person who worked for the Trump administration answering any questions. And there were so many people who got up there and said racist things. They said anti-COVID things. They said all these crazy things. Oh, sorry. Oh my God. They said all these disingenuous and ridiculous things.
The same way it's become a habit for us to use these words and be able to be anti-Black, we got to literally make it a habit to unlearn them. So it's not going to come overnight, but keep practicing.
I will keep practicing, and I'm sorry, guys. Yeah, all these things that directly went against what the guy who was speaking, what he would call it out a little bit, but people were allowed to stay. People were and My question is, what's the difference? Like, how are you going to tell me how can I be up here on this stage? I'm proud to be up on this stage with y'all. I don't agree with all of y'all, but I'm proud to be up here in a room where this is finally happening. And yeah, that was quite annoying. And please don't do it anymore, y'all. Thank you.
You don't even have to say please. Don't do it no more.
Yeah, stop.
Period.
Do you mind if I make a quick interjection?
No, go ahead, D. Welcome to the stage.
Hey y'all, my name is Dia. I use she, her pronouns. It's super quick. First, I wanted to say thank you for Brooklyn for calling out some of the ableist language. And there was something that was said that I just want to address really quickly is like if we can be careful about throwing around personality disorders to describe white folks being violent, that like being a psychopath, a sociopath is actually a mental illness. And like these white folks are not mentally ill, they're intentionally being violent as fuck.
You
And
are
we
right.
know
That
that
was me.
ableism,
Yes, that was me that said
ableism is
that.
anti-black. So that
Thank
means when
you.
we frame them like that, those black people who have personality disorders, myself being included, like how does that also impact the way that we're treated? So folks should just be mindful about throwing around
You are
language like
completely
that.
right. And
Thank you, D.
I completely receive that, D. I 100% receive it.
Thank you. That's all I had to share. But y'all have an amazing conversation and I'm learning a lot.
And I'm loving the mushiness, but Geo, put your Cash App in your bio. Thank you. Hunter, you too. Like, come on.
Now you can be. I'm hand it off to you and some other non-men on the stage to receive that nourishment. But also, just to reiterate, non-black folks in the audience, you are literally this is labor right now, and these folks have been on the stage for hours. It's Friday night. Folks, need to they could be doing so many more things with their time, but you're literally learning. You're literally having access to a conversation that you need to have access to, and it's not free. So please, Cash App, Brooklyn is going to be redistributing that to the folks who've been doing the work and doing the labor. So just to reiterate, specifically to non-black folks in the audience.
And if you want to come up and you're black, raise your hand. And please, y'all, can you go down to the followed by speakers? Ayuna, I hope that's how I say your name. Big mood when I took this shit over. All right, we got hands.
Thank y'all for the space. I'm going to call it a night. Have a good one.
You too. Bye, Bernard.
Thanks, Bernard.
Somebody needs to check their smoke detector.
It's me, Isaiah. I've changed the battery so many times. It doesn't stop. I don't know. I'm gonna have to call the fire department or something, but I don't want them in my house.
Hey, Noah.
Hey.
Hi. Can we reset?
Sure. So this room was created by racist white people who basically were asking, is Clubhouse obsessed with wokeism, kind of trying to, not kind of mocking us, basically saying that us talking about liberating ourselves amongst us on this app in real life, that it's kind of become a cultish kind of thing. That's where they were coming from. They had implemented a stack system, but the stack system was only for black people to wait their turn. Non-black people were allowed to interrupt others as they pleased. When they were being called out on the harm they were doing, when they were being called out for disagreeing on basic things, like as a white person, you did not get the same financial hand that I was dealt as a black person. They were disagreeing on simple things like that. I raised my hand, I got on stage to speak. Another moderator made me a moderator and I hijacked the room, and now we have black moderators only. We are collecting Cash Apps and Venmo. My Cash App's in the bio. My Venmo's the same as my Cash App. I think we're at like 248 now. I'm gonna be redistributing this money. If you know you wasn't here educating these people, speak up, honey. Even if it's in your bio, DM me or something, or just request it. You see my Cash App in my bio. Go ahead, and that's where we are right now.
So we're welcoming Noah, Shelby, and Kiki to the stage, and Queen as well. You all can chime in with any takeaways.
And if you're black and trans on this stage, you're automatically getting Cash App. So don't play.
Period. Send the request.
Send the request. Please hit up Brooklyn.
Please hit up Brooklyn. Please hit up Brooklyn. Please hit up Brooklyn. Please hit up Brooklyn. Please hit up Brooklyn. Please hit up Brooklyn. Please hit up Brooklyn. Please hit up Brooklyn. Please hit up Brooklyn. Please hit up Brooklyn. Please hit up Brooklyn. Please hit up Brooklyn. Please hit up Brooklyn. Please hit up Brooklyn. Please hit up Brooklyn. Please hit up Brooklyn. Please hit up Brooklyn. Please hit up Brooklyn. Please hit up Brooklyn. Please hit up Brooklyn. Please hit up Brooklyn. Please hit up Brooklyn. Please hit up Brooklyn. Please hit up Brooklyn. Please hit up Brooklyn. Please hit up Brooklyn. Please hit up Brooklyn. Please hit up Brookl
Yeah, Brooklyn, you know I love you.
Love you too, Queen.
I can't. Yeah,
I thought you were laughing at something else. Honestly, I thought I was gonna have to get a little buck, but I was like, okay. Came back. But yeah.
I can't laugh. Yeah, hold
Yo,
up.
can y'all please look at Mel PTR?
I'm dead.
Niggas, I keep that motherfucking thing on me. The motherfucking thing. Internalized anti-black. Oh my goodness,
Brooklyn.
too true. What's up?
C'est tous MC, hein, toi?